All right, everyone, welcome to Demo Day, March 2026 for the AirOps Content Engineering cohort. You guys have built and experimented so much over these past 2 weeks. It's been incredible to see what you guys have been able to do. All right. Is it just me or is this? Okay, give me 1 second. I'm getting feedback on my end. Let me see if I can close this. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Sorry for that little hiccup there. Hopping back into it. Today is demo day. What have we covered over the past 2 weeks, over these past 5 sessions? So, high level overview of what we have built. We first looked at the difference between workflows and grids. Again, workflows are the systems we codify, our thinking, our strategy, our tactics baked. And then the grids is our assembly line, allowing us to scale our systems across multiple inputs, producing multiple outputs. We also took a deep dive into the content engineering mental model that our lovely Andrea introduced for us on session 2. And again, this is being able to gather context, analyze, injecting intelligence into our workflows, and then executing on that intelligence, creating content briefs, blogs, reports, all of that good stuff. And then we also looked at grounding our workflows in rich context about our brand, looking at brand kits, aligning our outputs to our tone and voice. And we also looked at using knowledge bases as the living brain for context. And then finally, we looked at a couple of use cases that help us win in AI search. So if you remember the use cases we looked at very briefly, content refresh workflow and a content structuring workflow. A lot of things that we've covered over this past 2 weeks. All right, heading into the demos. All right, we have 9 presenters on the docket today, and each presenter is going to share with us their challenge. What problem were they solving? They're going to give us a quick overview of the workflow that they've built to solve this problem, and then they're going to touch on the impact that this has had on their work or the potential impact it's going to have on their work and what they plan on doing next. How are they carrying this torch forward? And now for our presenters, this is who we have on the docket for today. We have Tyler from Weedmaps, Jell from Kong. We got Gift. We have Alana from Layer. We have Christopher Gigi from Acela. We have Maria from MS Vision. Oliver from Your Golf Travel. And finally, last but definitely not least, we got Kieran from Whoop. A lot of amazing, amazing builds. I had a chance to chat with many of them before today, and I got to tell you, I'm quite impressed. But without a further ado, Tyler, are you in the room today? And I know Tyler was having a little bit of technical difficulties on his end in terms of connection. Okay, looks like he is not in today, so no worries. Next we have Jell. Jell, I see that you're here.
Hi, friends. Should we get started? Are we getting going now?
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and hand over the floor to you. Feel free to share your screen.
Okay, will do. Let me quickly place current share with my Grandkids, here we go. All right. First we'll look at okay. Let me bring you guys up so I see your faces. Okay, cool. Hi everyone, I'm Jel. I'm a lifecycle marketer here at Kong and the subject matter expert for our email channel. The problem I came in trying to solve is that we have a huge vault of technical content, blogs, webinars, customer stories, reports, and what have you. And manually translating that into lifecycle ready emails is slow, inconsistent, and hard to scale. So I built a workflow that takes a URL, understands who you're talking to, and produces a full campaign-ready nurture sequence. And that's what you're looking at. But before we get into that, I want to kind of walk through a little bit of the foundation here. The brand kit. AirOps automatically pulls strong brand context for konghq.com, but I knew that alone wouldn't be enough for my lifecycle work, so I added 4 custom layers on top here. And you see product lines, content types, audiences, and regions. Now the workflow doesn't just know what Kong is, it knows which products to reference, what content to produce, and who we're targeting and the region that they're in. That specificity is what separates useful output from generic output. Next is our knowledge bases. And this is where I want to kind of give a little bit of credit where it's due. Our SEO and AEO engineer, Xandria, the person who introduced AirOps to our team, and honestly a genius, has already built and maintained a ton of knowledge bases in our Kong workspace, primarily though for search workflows. So one of my goals for this prototype was to figure out how lifecycle marketing could actually tap into existing infrastructures independently. Rather than rebuilding everything from scratch, I wanted to see if I could point this workflow at the knowledge bases that we already have and get something useful out of it. So in this workflow specifically, I kind of mock up a couple of what we already have in our own workspace. We have Kong webinars knowledge base, Kong technical blog, and the customer's stories knowledge base. I kept them as separate inputs rather than one combined source so that the workflow can pull from exactly the right asset type depending on what is generating. And so I can swap or expand them over time without touching the workflow logic itself. The bigger takeaway here is that if your team is already investing in knowledge bases for one purpose, there's a real opportunity there to make them work across multiple workflows and use them as a single true source of truth to stay aligned on all messaging we put out there. And that's the direction that I want to keep pushing. Now, to get into the workflow, here's the full workflow. I will kind of go over kind of the outline here and tap into a couple of the actual prompts. The full workflow is as follows. You scrape the source content, right? You extract lifecycle relevant technical insights, and then we kind of scour the knowledge bases to pull targeted context from these knowledge bases. And then we align everything to Kong's brand positioning and generate a 3 email nurture sequence. And then at the end here, the last 2 steps is kind of how we format the output to produce a full campaign ops package as the final output. And now just a quick caveat here, you might be looking at the steps numbers and thinking, did she skip step 4 through 7? I did not. I learned that in AirOps, when you delete a step, the step number doesn't come back. And it took a couple of deleting and re-adding for me to realize, oh my God, I got to stop deleting and re-adding. So that's the learning here is plan accordingly. Don't just go all willy-nilly dragging and dropping things. You'll get confused very quickly. Anyways, let's get into the prompts really quickly. Step 2 here is where the workflow stops being just a scraper and starts being useful. I'm asking it to extract structured insights that are specifically relevant to lifecycle marketing. The architecture, challenge, Kong solution, customer value, technical takeaway, key quote, and evaluation nurture stage. This stage is really important to me personally. I sit on the demand gen team. My usual audience is the prospects in evaluation stage. This will return clean JSON that outputs flow directly into every other downstream step. Is the signal the rest of the workflow is built on. And then in step 5 here, after we kind of look into the knowledge bases, it's an alignment layer. This is where before it can write a single email, the workflow synthesizes source insights, technical knowledge-based context, customer proof, and the brand kit into structured messaging frameworks. And that is where we have all the technical problem, Kong solution, value message, etc. And then in step 6 is where all that we use all of that to generate a full 3 email sequence. with email 1 framing the problem, email 2 reinforcing the architecture challenge, email 3 closes with a customer proof. And then that's where the final steps where we package everything up all neatly and nice. We have subject line A/B test options, preview text, UTM parameters, and send delays, etc. Even a Slack announcement draft just for fun there.
Hey, Joe,
Yes,
just hopping in here.
sorry.
Can we This is amazing. This is a really ambitious use case. I love what I'm seeing here. Can you go ahead and jump ahead and show
Yeah,
us the output and talk
yeah.
about the impact this has?
Yeah, sure. So this is the output from the grid. This is kind of where we, the last piece of this whole thing, right? We do all of this so that we can scale, so that I can run all these different URLs and have many different types of scenarios. And the output looks something like this. You get the whole thing kind of packaged up. You have all the emails and things like that here. And now you're wondering, as a lifecycle marketer, how is this going to be used? It could look something like this, right? This is the whole package that I put into Claude. Give me the full brief. This is where I will begin. I will keep developing and build this into an automated system. And then this is your email 1. This is what it could look like. Here's your, all the things that you just saw in part of the output. Here's your email 2. And here is your email 3. I think you can kind of get the idea here with how impactful this will be for me, a team of one person generating all these content, right? And yeah, I know, I'm sorry I was going so fast, but I got very ambitious and tried to stay on scope, but it was very hard once I was unlocked.
Wow, this is incredible. Big round of applause to Jel. So she built essentially a workflow that takes technical content from that very rich knowledge base and turns them into targeted lifecycle email campaigns, as we just saw. That is incredible. I love what you've built. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Up next on the docket, we have, I believe, Gift. Gift, I see you're in the room.
Yeah, I
Hey, Gift. Feel free to share your screen and go ahead and take the floor.
okay, okay. Um, okay. Is it clear? My workflow, is it clear?
Yep, seeing it on
Okay.
our end.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so the workflow actually does content gap analysis, competitive or competitor content gap analysis. So when we think about, content gap analysis, the first thing that comes to our mind is keyword research. Like as content marketers, like the first thing that comes to our mind. So I wanted something that doesn't just focus on keyword analysis that every other tool can actually do. I wanted something that could focus on mostly ideas, topics, angles, and stories that we can actually extract. So I wanted it to be very simple. So the workflow is basically, it scrapes your website. You impute your website and your competitors. This is like the out
Gift, could you show us your workflow tab?
what the external versions like. Then it's created and a competitor's website, and then it gives you your role in its version.
Hey, Gift. If you can, maybe try
So
turning off your camera. We're losing you here.
this was okay. I don't know if I should show my prompts. As I had briefly. So first, Okay, I'm sorry. Just give me a moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries.
Is it, can we see it now?
Yes, I
Are we clear?
believe we're all
Can we see
seeing
my
our screen.
workflow right now?
I'm not seeing our workflow right
Okay,
now. I'm
okay.
seeing
Is it better?
your
Okay,
Zoom.
just okay. Um, this is the workflow.
Okay, it looks like it's just lagging a bit here, but I'm able to see the workflow on my end. Hopefully that's the case for everyone else as well.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like a gift might have a drop from the call due to some poor connection issues that has been happening all day today. It seems not just on our end, but for a lot of people. So I'm gonna pray that she's able to join back in. But up next on the docket, we have Alana from later. Alana, are you ready?
Yes, I am. If I can just share the actual screen instead of whatever screen I just decided to share. Does everybody see my workflow?
I'm seeing your screen. I'm not seeing your workflow.
Well, that's not great. Let's try this again. Let's stop the share. Golly gee, everybody's having technical difficulties today. All right, let's do this one more time. How's everybody doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thank you,
Great.
Alana.
Awesome. We are on the correct screen now, I believe. Everybody, thumbs up if you can see it. Great. All right. So I'm the content marketing manager at Later, which is a full funnel influencer marketing platform. And what the problem that we wanted to solve for here is we have three different segments of our brand to produce content for with three very distinct audiences. Yet we have a lean content team of three people, four if you count the freelancer who's currently working with us. So we need a solution for producing quickly executed, yet still high quality blog content for all three audiences. So I give you Later's Blog Builder, our workflow. So basically, in the input settings, you put in a competitor URL. We use the blog of one of our chief competitors, Creator IQ. Our brand kit, we actually have a couple different brand kits because we have different audience groups. So we use the Later standard blog brand kit. And then our keyword, I went ahead and chose industry trends for this one. And so then after you put in your input settings, the workflow researches the competitor by doing a web page scrape and a competitor analysis report like we did in one of our cohort sessions. Then after that, it takes that competitive analysis report and further breaks it down with an analyzed, with a content analysis that gives us identify some content opportunities, and then, just kind of some gaps that our competitor has that we could fill with our own content. Using that content analysis, we then go to the topic generator. At this point, based on this content analysis, it generates a list of potential topics that we could choose for a blog post that would incorporate our chosen keyword. I then have the human review step. The human, that would be me, would let me pick a topic from the list that's been generated. And then once I've extracted the topic that I want, then it takes the keyword, it extracts that keyword out of that chosen topic, which then funnels into our next step, a power agent that creates a content brief from that keyword that's been generated. And then finally, the output is that from that content brief that's been generated, it creates a full article, and the output looks like this. One of the lessons learned, obviously, I'm going to have to start putting the year because one thing I did find out is that they don't know, the AI does not always realize that we are living in the year 2026. So that was something I discovered. But basically, so this was going to have a great impact on our team. I already showed it to my supervisor and she loves it. She wants me to start using it for one of our, arms of our brand that hasn't been getting that much SEO love as of late. So I'm going to start using this blog builder to really crank out some really good output there. A few blockers I had a really tricky time trying to figure out how to go from topic to brief to full article like I had it in my head. And so one word, hello, Copilot. If it wasn't for the Copilot, I'm pretty sure I'd still be sitting here crying over error messages. But Copilot was able to kind of just help me figure out where the issues were and like work around that and solve for that. Another problem I had was my workflow was just doing too much. Like I had way too many steps initially. I had like a second human review, primary keyword generator, just like a bunch of things that ended up kind of causing problems to get to that final output. So I eliminated those. I think Jel mentioned she was up to whatever step. I'm unfortunately up to step 22 because I learned the hard way also that when you delete steps, they are gone for good. So step 22, try to do better next time on that. But yeah, I'm still working toward a beefier version of this is like Blog Builder 1.0. I want a beefier version that has maybe some keyword research, possibilities and things. But for now, I've just decided to build a second workflow specifically for keyword research and then use those to incorporate into the Blog Builder. And then for future plans, at some point, I would love to be able to just merge all that together so that it flows seamlessly. And I thought it would also be cool to kind of go back up to the keyword or the topic generator and create a grid so that we could have potential topics for the keyword all in one place on hand because we still will have human writers working on blog content while Blog Builder is doing its thing. So I thought it would be really cool to have in grid form other topics on that same keyword that we could sort of, ideate off of. And then
Lana, this is amazing.
oh, thank you, Wilson. Last thing is I did want to call out that this does not come over in this nice format with the headings and subheadings and the breaks. It kind of comes across as a huge chunk of text when you copy it and paste it. So another thing I'm going to try to do is figure out how to format the output with the actual H1, H2 tags and the correct spacing so that I can just copy paste right into the blog. But that might be a pipe dream. But
Love
that's
it.
yeah, thank you.
Love it. And I especially loved how you talked about your creation process here, kind of like what Jill was mentioning, going back in, adding steps, seeing that step count go up. I mean, for context here over to our team, if our internal builds, we easily reach up to step 200 sometimes.
Well, that
So
makes me
like
feel
that is
better.
that is very much part of the process. But yeah, loved what you built. So Alana built essentially a content gap analysis that goes from seeing what topics can be covered and goes ahead and writes the articles based on that topic. And hopefully in the future, the AI will be on the same timeline as us. So thank you so much, Alana. Alana, big round of applause to you.
Thanks, y'all.
Alrighty. Up next, we have Christopher. Christopher, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Wilson. Okay. My name is Christopher Iwundo. I do SEO and content marketing for B2B SaaS and tech companies. So, a problem many B2B companies face, which is basically getting, they know they have a product, but they know they have to put it out there for their target audience to get it, and their target audience are having specific pain points which they want to solve. So I work with something I call problem first product-led content, which all involves taking your target audience's pain point and reverse engineering it to being a content which targets them, the end audience. So what this process looks like is you need to get the customer pain points from customer tickets, UGC platforms like Reddit, Quora, etc. And evaluate whether you've covered the particular topics. Then do your complete analysis, keyword research, AEO research, and all that. Then come up with content that appeals to the pain point which you are targeting. So this process can take
Hey,
like
Christopher,
4,
just hopping in
8
here.
hours to days.
Can you share your screen? I'm not seeing it on my end.
Yes. A moment, please.
Thank you, Christopher.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Looks like it's loading for me. One
Can you see my
second.
screen?
There we go.
All right, so the process can take long. So, and I was thinking, how do I automate this process for B2Bs and tech companies so that they're able to just use automate an automated process to impute a broad keywords which they know that their audience is trying to get solutions for. So they impute a broad keyword and the workflow takes it and turns that block keywords into already made brief and contents they can use. So my workflow looks like this, which can be used by anybody, B2B company out there. So it starts with the inputs which the user have to input into the workflow. A broad topic, in this case, tool for managing my clients as an agency. Now, the user can then input their website or blog sitemap for context to the workflow. Then if the user have their brand kit already in AirOps here, they can just go here and select their brand kit. But if they don't have that, they have the option of using another input, which is adding brand relevance context to the workflow. So all these inputs is just to give the app, the workflow, as much context as possible to run the process. So the process starts with the UGC discussion chat, where the workflow goes to these platforms and gets the pain points which it return into the output, which is the content itself. Then after that, it extracts the problems and topic angles. Then it weighs that with it's kind of weighs it with the sitemap to know if the site have covered that. Then it goes to checking the brand relevance, which it gets from the context that was added in the input. Then it does a self results analysis. It does the search, then it does the analysis to know what competitors are doing and what and gaps that the user can target to fill. Then after that, now it has topics which it can rank according to how relevant they are to the company that the user is trying to write for, using something I love to call a confidence score. Then after that, now it generates the output in a kind of a loop where the first loop gives the SEO brief, while the second loop gives the article itself. Then after that, it gives an output which looks like this.
This is great.
Yeah, so
Love.
from the broad keyword now that the user imputed into the input section, now you get an output that looks like this. And that output now is based on what people are actively searching for on these user-generated sites like Reddit and etc. So the output looks like this. This is a strategic SEO brief covering title, primary keywords, so let's say you have a problem that the article is going to address. So it's like a full-time brief. Then the inspiring links from Reddit. There are other relevant research links that the writer can use.
Amazing. Christopher,
Then competing
can you talk
URLs.
about the impact that this workflow will have on you? Or maybe what
All right,
you're
so
planning on doing
the
next?
going back to this workflow we have basically is shortening the period it takes to move from having the pain points that your target audience are trying to find solutions to generating a brief and an article. And this does not just a workflow that turns in one article. You can run this at scale, where all you have to do is if you want to check topics for one company, you need to put the company sitemap, the topics, you need to put the topics down, the company sitemap, and the context, brand relevance context for the company. And it gives you outputs, which looks like this. So I did this for 3 different companies. For the first company, the output looks like this. For the second company, the output looks like this.
This is
And
great.
this is for the third. So what I'm trying to say is that you can use this workflow. You can scale it up for as many
Absolutely.
companies as you want to and as many topics as you want to.
Absolutely. Christopher, I love what you build out here. I especially love the amount of research that goes into this workflow. you're scouring customer sentiment through Core, Reddit, you're looking at SERP, looking at your sitemap, seeing what your current topic coverage is, and if they hit these pain points that customers care about. Love what you've done so far. This looks amazing. All right. Next up
Thank you.
on the docket, we have Gigi. Gigi, are you ready?
I hope I'm ready. I think I'm ready. So let's do
Oh, I know
this.
you're ready. Let's do it. Go ahead and share your screen.
All right. Because I remember like when we were practicing for the demo, I had issues with Zoom because I haven't shared my screen on Zoom in a very long time. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Gigi. I am the marketing lead at Jumping Rivers, and I'm also a founder. I'm the founder of Asela, which is a women's health and productivity platform that's based cycle-based productivity. And one of the fun things I love about building this brand is I get to experiment a lot with the marketing since I work in marketing full time. So I decided to check if Asela shows up um, in AI, in large language model, in ChatGPT and Gemini and such. Sorry, I know what these things are called. All of a sudden, my brain is freezing. Anyway, so basically the idea here is that this is connected to the Asela brand kit, which is over here. And it's specifically tailored to the Asela brand kit, which shows the product lines and everything. And then the idea here is I wanted to check if the landing pages, the blog posts do show up in AI. And I think I'll just quickly, before I go into a quick overview of the workflow, I'll show you over here in the grid. So I was able to paste some of the landing pages and blog posts that we have. And what this does is that it's connected to the brand kit, of course, so it's able to tailor specifically to the brand kit. And then I'm able to see the citation rates of the Asela websites, which is 0, which is not great. And I'm happy that I took this course because now I know that I need to fix this. And also the extractability score of the website. So it's also pretty poor, lots of things to fix here. And then also what I love about this is that when it's run, because these are already pre-run outputs that from my testing. So after running, it also lists out the issues that I should fix in the JSON. So right now, for example, you can see that it lacks structured data, nuclear headings, and all these other things. So, and on top of that, it also gives me improvement priority. So I'm able to know which should I prioritize in terms of improving it. And as you can see, everything is pretty high. So we have a serious problem here, and I'm happy I did this. So alongside all of this, I'm pointing out the issues. It's also able to rewrite the content pieces for me. So it's rewrote, let me use a blog post instead of a landing page. So it's able to rewrite the content piece for me. And also, for example, it suggested using FAQs and more bullet points, which it clearly did here. And also improve the structure of the page. And then also I can see a comparison between the old blog post and the new blog post and what changes were made. And then I can, this is taking forever to open. So I'll open another, okay, it's open. I'm able to see what changes were made, and then I can decide to accept or reject those changes. So pretty fun stuff. And also alongside that, before it's able to execute and run all these things, I can review the suggestions that it's making. So I can decide to accept all of these changes or just pick one or two, and then it's able to generate the output. So a quick rundown of the workflow. So this is what the workflow looks like. It's connected to the Asela sitemap. So it's basically very specific to Asela. And then it's able to take, this is a blog post that was scraped. So it's able to scrape and then give me this insight, and as you've seen in the grid. So I'm really happy I took this course because I was a bit skeptical about this, but I'm happy I did this. And now I know that AEO has a lot of things to consider, but I'm happy that I'm able to have this first step to be able to improve the Asela website and experiment more and try new things. And also, I really love the first presenter's work connecting it to Cloud Code because I've also been experimenting with Cloud Code, and I think the host, I can't remember his name right now because I'm trying to wrap up because of time. He showed me the AI visibility part. So I can't wait, and also the MCP for AirOps. So I can't wait to connect all these things and try new stuff. So thank you, and thank you for listening.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff here, Gigi. And glad you got to glean some insights from a little bit of all of us. I especially found Gel's taking it further into Cloud Code, super cool as well. So Gigi has essentially gotten a liftoff off the ground in terms of showing up in ChatGPT, Gemini, Google AI overviews, all that good stuff. So love what you've built in order to do that, Gigi. And I especially love that dashboard view that you've essentially built in the grid. I know, Maria, you called this out in the chat. 100% agree with your comment there. All right. Next up on the docket is Maria. Hello, Maria.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. So, yeah, excited to present. I'll start by explaining that my use case, I think, is a little bit different because I'm a content marketer by day and I run a side photography business with my husband. And obviously, I don't have that much time to dedicate to it because it's a side business and it's always been neglected, even though I think I know what to do with content, but I never had the time. So I think this course has been an amazing opportunity for me to not just think about what content I can create, but also create those systems that will help me scale my content creation. So we started with a brand kit, like everybody, and it made me really understand what type of photography I'm offering, really separated by buckets as opposed to just having it all in my brain. Separate different audiences, write through them with the help of AI, and understand where my gaps are. And to be completely honest, the gaps are everywhere. So this content system will really help me, I think, with this. And this is the workflow I built. It is probably nothing revolutionary, but because I need to start from scratch, this is what I'm starting with. So, like I said, I'll separate it by different kinds of clients. For example, here I'm starting with branding photography clients, and I'm asking the workflow to find general search queries. What would people even look for online when they're thinking about branding photography? The workflow will go to places like Reddit and social media and to overall compare the content that already exists and find the opportunities for me to fill. It will also, what I kind of like about this is that it will separate my queries by buying intent, like by buyer stages. So I'll be able to fill all of those, everything from awareness to consideration and all the way through. So I'll have content surfacing or servicing different stages of the buyer journey. And I don't need to worry about like which topic do I start with because it helps me select the highest impact topic, generate content brief, and then I added the human review, what we learned in this cohort, to make sure that it is aligned with what I'm thinking as well. And then it will help me create an output. So this is what it could look like. And what I also like is that once again, I can separate different product lines, different target customers, different audiences here, and create content that speaks to them directly. In the prompts, I also written how exactly I want my content to sound like. So it's not the generic AI slop that everybody's already desensitized to. It's writing like I want to write in the style and format that I like. And of course, we're taking this to the grid that I need to fill out more. But in the future, I hope to have different services, different geographies, different target customers here, and just run this at scale, something that I would not be able to do on my own, just being like having this as a side business. So that's my workflow. Like I said, probably nothing revolutionary, but I think it could really make a difference for me. And I was also thinking that I could take this further and create different or other content formats from this. So maybe different branding photography blogs become like a long form guide. Maybe it becomes like different Instagram stories, etc., that cover some of those topics. So I think the possibilities are truly endless here. And yeah, I'm excited to see the results and where this takes me.
This is so awesome, Maria. I love a good founder story, and I love what you've done here in terms of generating content, optimizing your content for generating awareness for you and your partner's photography business.
Thank
I
you.
love what you've done. Incredible stuff. And I appreciate that snapshot on this piece of your business, pun intended. Big round
Thanks
of
so much.
applause.
Thank you, thank you. Wink, wink. If anybody needs photography, I have to say this.
You know, I think I need a new LinkedIn headshot, so might have to hit you up. All right. Next up on the docket, we have Oliver from Your Golf Travel. Oliver, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen.
Hello. Right. Can people see a workflow there?
Yes, we sure can.
Excellent. Okay, sure. So I guess the core of this is, well, firstly, massive thanks to Wilson, shown some really interesting bits that would never have thought of doing in AirOps or other things. So big thanks for that. But I guess kind of from this side is this shows something that goes from actually like connecting into another system. So this actually uses Contentful, but effectively this is an opportunity to do mass scale content refresh. So effectively what this is doing is in the first instance, it kind of pulls all of the IDs that are associated with the different product pages that we have. So that's what you can see and kind of, it was interesting. Someone said about, how efficient their steps were. This has got 63 in it, so it shows how much trial and error there was. But yeah, so it's basically fetching it to get it into a position where Contentful can read it, then getting it into an idea here around all the different nested entries that then sit within Contentful itself. And I think probably like something which I haven't seen in other demos, but I would recommend, or at least something to have a consideration. It's just you can see here like working between the different models to check themselves. I find that to be really helpful. I do that in lots of other work if that's just app script or general, but that kind of gives, it's allowing them to check their own homework. So, checking one against another is a helpful thing, and then that kind of gives you an understanding. This actually is run through a few different instances, but in this mainstay, what it does is actually just will now publish onto our staging site. So the reason why I had this from going into a staging site, I initially had it going into some Google Docs. But the problem with that is that people couldn't necessarily see it to be able to edit it in terms of, seeing it on the web page is far easier. So this basically allows us to run the refresh, which then gives us the output. And then, once that's kind of been okayed and gone through an editorial process, then we can literally just put it live by running the workflow from there. But that's in it in a nutshell. But that would give you an opportunity to do something massively at scale, and because the connection with Contentful, there's other CMSs available. It just gives you that opportunity to do something that could be an incredibly manual task, to suddenly be able to do it at enormous scale. That's that.
That's that's incredible, Oliver. So essentially, Oliver has built this very end-to-end uh, content refresh at scale for editorial content. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. So this is looking specifically at product pages. So I know obviously if you're looking at all the brand kits that they've used, obviously if you set that up for different pages, you have different product pages within there, but that's just one core part of it.
Oliver, I especially loved that step where you had different models, essentially comparing what each model has generated for you and back comparing that. I think that's super cool, seeing what ChatGPT outputs, seeing what Cloud outputs, and then choosing the best output from those. So definitely a tactic that I'm gonna have to take back to my own workflows. So love what you built there. Well, Oliver, one last question before we wrap up here. What was your biggest learning in it doing all of this?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of learnings. Copilot is incredible within AirOps. That really helps because I think actually, to be honest, it's the review process of actually putting it into something where someone can actually see it and understand it. Because when I was sending it into Google Docs, people weren't necessarily uh, couldn't quite see it, even showing comparisons between the two. So actually, someone seeing it in HTML in real life made a difference, and it then also shows people the art of the possible, and then they're actually able to have a concept. Well, actually, hang on, I do this currently. Could you do that? But there is a huge amount of use cases with AirOps. So fingers crossed, I can find out more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Oliver. Big round of applause to him for what he's built. I love especially how much work you put into the contentful integration and the formatting there. Alrighty. So next up we have Kieran, and then after that we also have Tyler, who I believe is back on the call, and then if we have time at the end, we'll have Gift hop back in. Hopefully her connection issues are resolved. But Kieran, go ahead and take it
Alrighty.
away.
Thanks very much. Yeah, so my name is Kieran. I'm a product marketing specialist at Whoop, and I'm mainly focusing in on our AEO efforts at the moment. So, coming from a bit more of a customer service background, one thing that came to mind is it is very tough to find what our customers are saying about us. It's a very manual process. So I basically wanted to take that problem and put it into a nice clean workflow where I got a clean report of this is what our customers are saying about us on Trustpilot. This is what customers are saying about our competitors. Compare, analyze, and give us some AEO forward strategy with that. So I'll quickly fly through my workflow itself, and get to a bit more of the exciting stuff with the output. Um, the input I kept fairly simple for the workflow, that you just drop a review page. So you drop in a URL for the App Store with Whoop, the Play Store, Reddit, Trustpilot, etc. From here, I wanted it to do a bit of a scrape of that URL, and taking our detailed knowledge base and our brand kit, kind of making any insights that it takes from that scrape super specific to Whoop as a brand. Um, After scraping that, I wanted to take a look at our competitors. So at the same time, it took a look at Garmin or Apple Watch, Fitbit, and did the very same kind of thing where it analyzed their customer sentiment data. And the last thing I got to do through a couple more LLM steps was analyze all these reviews, analyze our customer reviews, and generate me a nice, clean HTML report. Now, while I was happy with the report, I wanted to make it a bit more visual. Again, so what I will do just now, you can see here, I got a nice kind clean overview, customer feedback intelligence report, executive kind of summary, recent trend and issues, competitor analysis, and etc. Wanted to go then to the grid and drop in, like I said, Trustpilot, Apple, the Google Play Store, Reddit, and the Better Business Bureau was one that was popping up in our AirOps Insights. And I basically ran the workflow on all of these. And what I did from here to make these reports a bit more visual for upper management to review them is I linked up my Cloud Code with the AirOps MCP, and I created this really clean dashboard that gives you an overview of all the insights from these reports into nice, clean overviews of sentiment, the competitive landscape, how we rank among our competitors, what customers love, top themes coming up kind of negative wise, as well as a few other bits like trend and issues, competitor intelligence summaries, and some kind of actionable pieces that we can take a look at to improve our customer sentiment. So this for me was a huge kind of wow moment, being able to automate all of this and create this really clean dashboard in what otherwise would have taken me hours upon hours to collect all this data and put something like this together. So it's a huge unlock for us being able to do this. And as you all know, we're nothing without our customers, and it's very important that we take their voice and their insights into consideration with our own strategy. So this is super valuable to the team. I've shown this off to my manager as well. He's delighted, and we have loads of other ideas in the pipeline of cool bits like this that we can do. So yeah, that's pretty much me, my customer sentiment dashboard and analyzer, built out through AirOps and a bit of assistance with Cloud Code with the MCP. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Kieran. This is incredible. And I know I'm not just speaking for myself here. You essentially took a workflow that looks at reviews, sentiment, looks at the competitive landscape, and you've used the MCP in a way that I haven't seen before. So just to give some context, we just launched an MPC not too long ago for Claude. allowing us to pull in data and insights straight from AirOps. And Kieran has gone ahead and built out this incredible dashboard. I am wowed. Like, no,
And yeah,
no comments from me.
it's definitely been a big unlock for me since I've connected up the MCP that I'm able to write to it. Hey, I want you to go into my customer review report or grid and read the output, and it's able to pull insights from this. And then I have other workflows that I'm working on where it's writing into the grid for me, without me with me just kind of prompting it. So it's a huge unlock, which I'm delighted with.
Love it. I bet
So
your leadership is loving you right now.
And thanks very much, and thank you for everything over the last few weeks, Wilson. You've been fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Karen, for being such an amazing and engaged learner. All right. Next up, we have Tyler from Weed Maps. Tyler, are you here? Oh, I see you're here. It looks
Yes,
like you
yes,
got your
I
internet
was
working.
one of the people troubled with internet issues earlier. So yeah, glad it seems to be resolved at this point. So yeah. So hopefully you all can see my screen here. As Wilson just said, I am an SEO coordinator at Weedmaps, and my goal here was to create this kind of schema, structured data, auditing, and management workflow. It's just something that I was recently working on and using LLMs to kind of assist me through the process, and figured I could throw it into here, see what happens. So effectively what it does is it first scrapes the web page for content and everything, as well as scrapes for schema and pulls out all of the different schema types and properties that are currently on the page. Then it also summarizes what that page is about in the sense of trying to pull out what possible schema attributes could be used on such a page like that. It takes that list as well, summarizes it into its core schema components, and just does a direct one-to-one comparison, be like, okay, what's used, what isn't, and creates a gap analysis here. Then from there, it also creates well, you can kind of see the output of the gap analysis for just one of those off to the side here. But it also scores based on the severity of the schema property, whether or not it's actually going to turn into rich results in search. And finally attributes a score. That's what triggers that. Oh, that score is what triggers the branching condition. So if it's passing score, I just generate a passing schema report. But if it is a failing score, then it goes and first pulls out all the schema attributes that are passing, so that to send to the human review only the schema elements that are potential issues that we need to address. After the human review, takes those that we have flagged and generates a full final schema report and breakdown. Now, this report and breakdown, I really wanted it to be targeted as actual insights for our engineers. I felt it was important to not just give a generic schema report, but pull data from the pages itself and reference what these elements can be and where and how they should be used. And that was all baked into the prompting for that. Uh, and from there, it finally packages the output of that schema and creates the final schema list, and then exports that to a Google Drive folder, just so we can, have a record of everything. And that turns into the grid here. So we have just a full list of our pages, the severity scores for our engineers to work out of, the final schema list, just the core elements that should be expected. This I wanted to use in our monitoring process that I baked in later, and then a link to the Google Doc that they would just be working out to fix these issues. And now, since basically anyone who sent recommendations off knows that they can get lost into the void, so I wanted to create a scheduled just a small lightweight workflow to tack onto the end of this to scrape the page currently, compare it to the final schema list that was generated previously, and just create like a little percent complete score that we can monitor what our engineers are doing, what the progress of this is, and whether or not things are actually getting done. And yeah, that's about it.
This is wonderful, Tyler. So to give some context on schema, so based on our internal research here at AirOps, schema is actually one of the most powerful levers you can pull to show up in AI search. So having structured schema is incredibly important. And Tyler here has done a workflow that targets exactly that and gives his engineering team a quick snapshot on what needs to be done, how it can be done. This is incredible. I'm like, wow, I've never seen a grid built out like this. I especially love your update monitoring bit there. If you can show that really quickly,
Yeah.
with
It's
the
just
percentage completed.
yeah, it's the grid or the actual workflow. The grid, yeah, it just shows what's matched, the different types that have matched, different properties. One little thing that I kind of thought was interesting was some of the like this is 100% matching for properties and types, yet it still has a severity score of 4. So something that I kind of want to go back and look. Maybe it's that even though it's matching, I'm not these schema attributes aren't necessarily complete or to the degree that the LLM thinks it should be. So something interesting I want to go back and investigate. But there's also a lot more that I want to build into this. Like I believe one input that is missing from here are competitors. Like scraping their website schema, and it could also just because the competitor's doing something doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do. So that should have another human review element attached to that as well, and be brought in and baked into this as well. So yeah, it's a nice little V1. I'd like to build onto it further.
What a V1, I must say. I can't say I've seen many V1s this built out. So incredible work, Tyler. All right. Big round of applause to Tyler and all of our presenters. Wonderful stuff that we've been able to see today. Oh my God, so many cool builds. I'm just amazed at the tactics and strategies that you guys have weaved into what you've built, taking on um, much further from what we built out in session. And with that, I'm going to give a big congratulations to everyone who showed up these past 2 weeks, who've built things, who've played around. Big congrats. You guys are officially content engineers certified by AirOps. And with that being said, if you still haven't submitted your workflow to receive your certification, that link is still open. We do have an advanced cohort track that starts immediately next week. It is a 5-day intensive. We know that turnaround is quite tight, and in order to qualify for that, you must get your certification submitted by tonight. Unfortunately, no submissions will be accepted over the weekend for the advanced cohort, but again, you can still submit at any time to receive your certification. Just as a heads up to those people who have been part of this cohort. And wrapping things up, if you are watching live and you're curious on how you can unlock strategy in terms of showing up in AI search, being cited by ChatGPT, Gemini, Google AI overviews, and learn how to connect all of your insights across GA4, GSC, feel free to scan this QR code. We're going to get you hooked up with our team. And if you're interested in joining the future cohorts, our team will be able to point you in the right direction. And just a heads up, we are having a full revamp on our curriculum starting March 31st. So a lot of the concepts we covered in this cohort will carry over, but there's going to be a lot of new things in that new one. So if you have time on your calendars, it is a 3-week curriculum. So we're expanding it a little bit, but we're really going to be diving into the strategy, the why, and communicating the value of building AirOps to your team. But with that being said, thank you again, everyone, for showing up I loved seeing what you guys have been able to do. I loved talking to every single one of you. You guys are so smart. I learned so much from everyone, and I hope you've learned a little bit from me, from Terrence, and from the rest of the team. So again, big congrats. All righty. That is it, folks. Hope everyone has a lovely weekend. And again, be sure to submit your certification to become a certified content engineer if you already haven't done so. That being said, have a good one. Bye, folks.